Martin Luther King Jr., 1929 to 1968. Martin Luther King Jr. rose to global fame in his 30s as the moral voice of America's civil rights movement. His leadership during the Montgomery bus boycott of 1955, the Birmingham Campaign of 1963, and the Selma marches of 1965 pushed Congress to pass the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. In 1964, he became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate, celebrated for preaching nonviolence and hope. But declassified FBI files and memoirs expose a more complicated man. The Bureau's wiretaps, part of J. Edgar Hoover's COINTELPRO program, recorded numerous extramarital affairs. King's wife, Coretta Scott King, reportedly learned of several, and in 1964, the FBI even mailed the couple an anonymous suicide letter with recordings meant to blackmail him. Close associate Ralph Abernathy later alleged that King spent the night before his assassination with two women. Scholars also note his conventional 1950s views on gender. Colleagues described him as dismissive toward female activists. None of this erases his public achievements, but it reminds us that moral leadership often coexists with private contradiction. Steve Jobs, 1955 to 2011. Jobs co-founded Apple Computer in 1976 and, by launching the Macintosh in 1984, iPod 2001, and iPhone 2007, helped define the digital age. Under his leadership, Apple became the world's most valuable company and a symbol of creative perfectionism. Behind the legend stood an abrasive perfectionist. Former employees described volcanic outbursts, humiliation in meetings, and reality distortion deadlines. In 1978, he fathered a daughter, Lisa Brennan Jobs, then denied paternity until a court-ordered DNA test forced acknowledgement. Even Wozniak, his co-founder, said Jobs' charisma often masked manipulation. His vision changed technology, but it came at the cost of empathy and truthfulness. Michael Jackson, 1958 to 2009. By the mid-1980s, Jackson's Thriller was the best-selling album in history, earning him the title King of Pop. He broke racial barriers on MTV and turned music videos into cinematic art. Yet his fame concealed lifelong turmoil. From 1993 onward, multiple boys accused him of sexual abuse. A 2005 criminal trial ended in acquittal, but civil suits and documentaries kept the allegations alive. He also lived under crushing body insecurity, claiming vitiligo while undergoing dozens of cosmetic surgeries, and died at 50 from an overdose of anesthetic drugs administered by his physician. The man who sang "Heal the World" remained a patient of his own pain. Tiger Woods, born 1975. At 21, Woods won the 1997 Masters tournament by 12 strokes, the youngest champion ever, and transformed golf into a global, diverse sport. By 2008, he had 14 major titles and a billion-dollar brand. In 2009, a car crash outside his Florida home led tabloids to uncover a string of extramarital affairs. More than a dozen women came forward, sponsors fled, he lost roughly $22 million in endorsements in 1 year. Publicly apologizing, Woods entered rehabilitation for sex addiction. Years later, he rebuilt his career, winning the 2019 Masters, but the scandal permanently reshaped his public image. Winston Churchill, 1874 to 1965. As Britain's wartime prime minister, 1940 to 45, Churchill's defiance, "We shall never surrender," helped rally Allied morale. He was Time magazine's Man of the Year twice and a Nobel laureate for literature. Less remembered is the cost of his imperial convictions. During the 1943 Bengal famine, when up to 3 million Indians died, Churchill refused to divert food shipments, blaming the victims for breeding like rabbits. Earlier, he had defended concentration camps during the Boer War, 1899 to 1902, and described Africans as savages. His courage against Hitler was genuine, his contempt for colonized peoples equally real. Mother Teresa, 1910 to 1997. Founder of the Missionaries of Charity in 1950, she built over 500 homes for the dying and orphaned across 130 countries, earning the 1979 Nobel Peace Prize. Investigations later raised troubling questions. Journalist Christopher Hitchens and medical audits found that her hospices often reused needles, withheld painkillers, and emphasized suffering as a gift from God. She accepted millions in donations from dictators like Haiti's Duvalier family without transparency. Her devotion was undeniable, but her theology of pain blurred compassion with austerity. Nelson Mandela, 1918 to 2013. Imprisoned for 27 years for opposing apartheid, Mandela emerged in 1990 preaching reconciliation. 4 years later, he became South Africa's first black president and a global moral symbol. Yet the road there was violent. In 1961, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto Sizwe, the ANC's armed wing, which carried out bombings that killed civilians. As president, 1994 to 99, he faced internal corruption and persistent economic inequality. Historians still debate whether his compromises with white business elites stabilized or stalled justice. Mandela's greatness was real, but like his nation, it was imperfect. Barack Obama, born 1961. Elected in 2008 as America's first black president, Obama inspired a generation with the slogans "Hope" and "Yes, we can." His administration passed the Affordable Care Act, 2010, rescued the auto industry, and ordered the mission that killed Osama bin Laden, 2011. But the Nobel Peace Prize laureate also presided over an expanded drone war program. Between 2009 and 2016, more than 500 strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia killed thousands, including civilians. His government deported over 2.5 million immigrants and continued mass surveillance revealed by Edward Snowden. Mahatma Gandhi, 1869 to 1948. Through nonviolent protest. The Salt March, 1930, the Quit India Movement, 1942, Gandhi led India to independence and inspired civil rights leaders worldwide. But his early writings in South Africa, 1890s, called black Africans Kafirs, and in later life he conducted brahmacharya tests, sleeping beside naked teenage girls, to prove his chastity. He promoted strict sexual restraint for women and considered menstruation impure. Gandhi's genius for moral theater changed empires, yet his personal experiments revealed deep contradictions about power and purity. Thomas Edison, 1847 to 1931. Holding over 1,000 patents, Edison commercialized electric light, 1879, sound recording, and motion pictures. His Menlo Park lab became the model for industrial research. He was also fiercely unethical in competition. During the War of Currents, he publicly electrocuted animals to portray Nikola Tesla's alternating current as deadly. He underpaid inventors who worked under him and claimed credit for collaborative inventions. Edison's light illuminated the world, but his ego darkened collaboration. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1882 to 1945. Elected 4 times, 1932 to 1944, FDR led America through the Great Depression and World War II. His New Deal created Social Security, 1935, and stabilized capitalism during crisis. Yet his record on human rights faltered. In 1942, he signed Executive Order 9066, forcing about 120,000 Japanese Americans, 2/3 of them citizens, into internment camps. He also rejected proposals to expand immigration quotas for Jews fleeing Nazi Europe. The defender of democracy permitted injustice at home when fear overpowered empathy. Pablo Picasso, 1881 to 1973. By his 20s, Picasso had revolutionized painting. Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, 1907, and Guernica, 1937, redefined modern art. He became one of the richest artists in history, producing over 50,000 works. In private, he was notorious for cruelty. He kept multiple lovers simultaneously, often decades younger, and once declared there are only 2 kinds of women, goddesses and doormats. Biographers record manipulation, psychological abuse, and despair among his partners. 2 attempted suicide, 1 succeeded. His art liberated vision, his life imprisoned affection. Subscribe for more videos that look past the spotlight and into the human stories that history forgets to finish.